Hello, everyone. Welcome to our August Training Tuesday for OU Campus. Today's topic is multi-site administration. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode as this session is being recorded. If you have a question during the presentation, please use the Q&A function found at the bottom of your screen. We will attempt to address your questions throughout the presentation. If there are any remaining questions we cannot answer during this webcast, we will provide an answer via email. Your presenter today is Paul Warren, software trainer. Paul, it's all yours.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so today what we're going to be talking about is administration for multi-site, and there are going to be different things that we'll be talking about within this. So what can be shared, we'll kind of go over best practices for a site setup, and then also cloning a site, which is something that you can do at your own location if you would like to. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to sign into my Galena sandbox here. And a couple of things with sites. What you may be asking is, why would you want to have multiple sites? So something, maybe you're going to be doing a redesign. You want your old site and your new site out there, so you can go ahead and see the difference there without actually placing the new site on your system. Maybe you want a site to experiment with, just to kind of go in and play with, but you don't want it to affect your actual site, your live site. In some instances, we have some school districts that have multiple colleges. So each college could have their own site with their own setup, with their own look and feel. I've got something going on with my screen here. So let me go ahead and log out here and log back in. Doesn't seem to want to log in there. So give me a second here. Let me go ahead and close that out and reopen it. There we go. So those are some things where you do have major departments with schools. Sometimes each department will have their own site, and within each site, they can have their own look and feel. So they don't have to look the same. They can be completely independent of each other. Now, as we go in here today, my screen may look a little bit different than yours. I am using version 11. Which is the newest version that came out last month. And within here, as a level 10 administrator, you can also preview version 11 if you're not ready to change everybody on your sites over. With the changing to version 11, it is something that you can go into setup and then come into your account here. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, we do have version 11. As a level 10 user, you can come in here and go ahead and change it to version 11, and it will just be for your user ID only. So you can kind of preview and see what version 11 looks like. When you're ready to give it to all your users, you would come down here to the bottom, and we do have transition all users to version 11. Now, this is something at the account level. So when we're talking at the account level, it's kind of the umbrella over multiple sites. So if I did this here and I transition all users to this, it would be affecting all my sites. So when I'm talking about sites and seeing my sites, if I come up here to the upper right-hand corner, I've got my Galena here. But if I look at my drop-down, I have several different sites here as well. I've got a dev site, I've got a training site, and I've got my Tuesday site. So these are all different sites that I can go ahead and toggle between. Now, if I've got users, maybe I don't want them to have access to all the sites, they'll still see them up here and they'll be able to go to them. But I'll show you in a little bit, if we wanted to prevent them from going into any folders or files on a specific site, we can use our groups to go ahead and modify that and control where people have access to within their sites. I'm going to come back to Galena here. This is my primary site that I use for pretty much everything. With anything that you're doing within OU Campus, when creating new sites or talking about sites, planning really is a key that you want there. Really think about, what do you want shared between your sites? Do you want specific assets, snippets, components shared between sites? Do you want your templates? Now, when I'm talking templates, I'm talking the plus new templates. Do you want those to be shared across the site? Different things like that. Many times what you might have, you might need to get your IT department involved with your site when creating a new site, so they can give you the right information so you don't accidentally have something sitting out there where you could overwrite your site. Let me show you a couple of examples here. If I come into my pages here, and let me go ahead and bring up a page here with some information on it. We can see that we do have a couple of different ways you can clone your own sites. And an easy way to, we've got our base URL here of galena.edu. I can go in and clone it and just add /business behind it. That will give me a new site for business. I can also do the same thing for animation. So it's a quick and easy way that we could go in and clone a site. And we'll look at this a little bit more a little bit later. The problem with doing it this way, there's no limitation on doing it. You can definitely do it, but the caution is, when we look at these URLs, it's also set up if somebody goes into galena.edu and they add a subfolder called /business, all of a sudden I've got a conflict there. I've got the site with the same name as that folder. So something is not going to be good there. So you can go ahead and create a clone site like this, but you would definitely want to use a unique name that you know nobody else will be coming in and creating a folder with that same name. So you could have maybe a date with it, specific characters with it, something like that. Another way of doing it, more recommended way, is to put it into the base URL. So in this case here, we're putting business first. We're actually setting up the site within our URL here that we have business.galena.edu. So that way, if we do go ahead and start getting additional folders here, there won't be a conflict between business and any folders that are named business within this. Same thing with animation. We're going to animation.galena.edu, and that way it's preventing that problem of two things showing up with the same name. We actually have this in place here. If I come back to my pages here, and we go back here real quick, and I come up here to Galena, that's what we have here. If I go into Galena here, and I look at my production item on my production server, and I'll come here, go to view, page. We can see here that we have paulpwarren.oudemo.com. So this is my base URL here that I do have. If I change this, let me come back in here and go to Galena, and I go to training, and I can easily just transfer over there, and I go to one of my pages here. I'm gonna come down here and just go into my test page here. View published version here. We can see that we're pwarren.oudemo.com/training. So it's just letting me know, hey, I'm still using the base URL that we have here, except I'm just adding training onto it. what could accidentally happen is somebody could go in, I could even go into pwarn.oudemo.com, and then at my root directory put in another folder called training, and then I've got that conflict there because both things are named the same thing. So what we did to prevent that is we also created this dev file. So this was one where I did have to have IT involved with it, so they could go ahead and create this on the server and get it ready for me. But if we come in here and we go into our index page again here, and we go ahead and preview the published page, we can see here that we have pwarndev.oudemo.com. So that way, if somebody comes in here and puts another training folder in here or anything like that, it's not causing that conflict that we may have there. So it's really the preferred way of doing it. There's nothing wrong with cloning a site, but you just need to be careful when you are cloning sites that it is something that will be a unique name and you won't have that problem of somebody overwriting it. To get more information about cloning, there was actually a cloning clone site training Tuesday done a while ago by one of our developers. So that is available on the support site. And then there is additional information about cloning on the support site as well. So some things that we do have here, I'm going to go ahead and go back to Galena here, just so I know where I'm at. One of the things that we do have here is we can see within version 11, we have things that are recently visited. Within these recently visited items, these will take you to the site that you were looking at as well. So it's not just looking at the current site that you're on. So right now I'm on my Galena site here. If I come in here and I look at my Training Tuesday page, I can see that it left me here in Galena. So that was from this site. If I come back to my dashboard here, but I go to the test page, when I click on test here, it puts me right into that pwarn dev. So it doesn't matter what site you're going to, when we do come back to our dashboard, and we do have this recently visited items, it will go ahead and track what site this is from. So if you come back the next day and realize, oh, I need to go into a specific page there, I'm currently on the pwarn dev page, but I want to go to this Training Tuesday page. I can't remember exactly what site it is. Maybe I've got several going on here. I can go ahead and click on that Training Tuesday, and that will take me right to my Galena site. So that will follow that. The other thing that kind of follows the same pattern, where you can go ahead and manage multiple sites where you have your items that you might be going back to, is within your gadgets as well. So if I come into my gadgets here, as it comes up here, let me close that and reopen it here. Well, let's go through our dashboard set of gadgets. For some reason, that doesn't want to quite open there. But if I come in here to my gadgets, I do have, let's see, my bookmarks here, right in front of me. And I can see where I do have different things from. So if I need to go to that test index on the dev site, I added dev on the bookmark. So I know, oh, that's right, this is on the dev site that I'm working with. When I go there, it'll go ahead and take that bookmark and put me wherever that is. So again, if you are working with multiple sites and you need to go back and forth between sites, you're working on different pages, you can use those bookmarks there to go ahead and mark that, and it will also remember the site that it's in as well. Let me check something here. So when we're talking about the account level can have more than one site, which is what we have here. So the account's kind of like the umbrella over everything, and we have our different sites within it. So there's several things within the site setup that are within the account setup that are shared between your sites here. So if we go into setup here, which in V11 has moved over towards the middle a little bit, we can go into our account settings. And with these account settings, these are something that are the overlying for all the sites. So as we go through this, some of the things that we do have our account options for our time zone. This is going to be the blanket for all the subsites. But let's say you do have different campuses in different time zones. You'll see when we look at sites, at the individual site information, there's a time zone there as well. The other thing, always use HTTPS. So if you wanted this on your staging server, you can actually go ahead and turn this on. This is at the account level. So this is something that would actually turn on for all of your sites. So it does follow that there. A couple of other things here, your publish settings are at the account level. So your initial publish settings here, you can select on when it comes to the page check settings, which items do you want to have seen for when somebody goes to check the page, do a page check on the page, or publish out the page. So we can see here that we do have all 4 items showing up. Now at the site level, we do have publish settings as well, but is which ones do you want to run? So what we're controlling here is which ones do we see when we go into site check. So for my sites, I do have the 4 different sites here. I do want the spell check, the link check, the W3C, and the accessibility be showing there. So I do have them all selected. Those will show up on all of my sites. I also have my accessibility guidelines. So whatever accessibility guideline that I have here, it's going to be account level. So it's going to go ahead and be across all my sites, as well as exceptions. So if I came in here and I made a specific exception for one of my items within the accessibility there, it's going to apply to not only this site but all my sites because it is at an account level there. Additional things here are our add-ons. So keep in mind when you do create add-ons, I know with a lot of schools will have add-ons for their calendar, maybe for your search functions, maybe if you have specific documents, sample documents where you want these, I'm not thinking of the word that I want, but you have your documents there of this is what our pages are supposed to look like. Here's some guidance on it. You can add those add-ons here, but they will be available to all sites. So maybe they are site specific. You would just want to go ahead and make sure you name them with that information there. So in this case here, we do have 5 different ones here that we do have. These will show up on all 4 of my sites. So you can't break them out individually by a specific site. All the add-ons are going to be showing in there. Additional things that we do have is when we come in here under our settings here, again, we did talk about version 11. This is something that is at the account level. We can see here that all users will be updated to version 11 on January 23rd. So you still have plenty of time here to come in. Like I said, if you're a level 10 administrator, you'll have this option here as well, which goes ahead and lets you know if you want to go ahead and preview version 11, you can do that. If you're in using it and you realize, you know what, I want to deal with this later with the school year starting up, we've got a lot of other things. You do have the option here to switch back to OU Campus version 10. So you can toggle back and forth at this period. But when you want to transition your users, you go ahead and select it down here. That will transition, again, not only people for this site, but for all of your sites. So this will be a global setting there over all of your sites there. Additional things that we do have is if we come over here on our side, our users are actually at an account level. So your users will have access to get to this drop down where they will see your different sites there. So it just is a matter of how you have each of those sites set up and the groups that you're using within those sites. So what you can do in this case here, if I come into my groups here, I can see that I do have a bunch of groups for my athletics department, But then I have a couple of groups here for my dev site. So I've marked it DEV at the beginning, so I know that these are ones that I want specifically for my developer site. So let's say I've got my developer site and I don't want everybody to have access to it. I only want the people that are part of the athletics department. So my subsite is just the athletics department. We have a huge function. It's very popular, and so we've created their own site. And I don't want anybody other than those people in there. So if we look at our dev department here, we have Mike and Nancy. Those are our two people there that are going to be managing this for us. What I can do is I can come over here to my dev site. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up to content, or actually, let me rephrase that. I'm going to go to setup. I'm going to go to site here. I'm going to go to my dev site, and I'm going to edit the site access. So right now, the site access for this is everyone, but I only want that athletics group that we've created to be part of this. So this could be any group. This could be a business college, and I've got a group called business or business college, and that is what I would use here. So in this case here, just as the example, I'm using that athletics department. So I'm going to apply this here, and I am going to do it recursively so it affects everything that's in there. I'm going to change the access group here from everyone, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to that dev athletics department. I'll go ahead and save this here. So now, if I come in as a level 10 user, I can still go in and see anything in here because the level 10 user can still come in here and see what's in here. But I actually have a second account or a second screen set up here, and I have a level 6 user. So we can see we have a level 6 user here. They can still get into this dev site. And if I come in here and go to content pages though, we can see that everything is locked out for them. So they can still see the site, they can still go to the site, but in this case here, we've got it set up so only that Mike and Nancy have access to do anything in the site as well as your administrators. If anybody else comes in here, such as our little level 6 user right here, we can see they don't have access to anything. So they'll see it, but they won't be able to access it. Recently, I was working with a school. They've got 2 campuses. They're 2 separate schools. What they did is they put the alpha character of each school at the beginning of each of their groups. So that way everything is grouped together. So that way they can also say, here is this group for campus A and here's this group for campus B. And then they could go in and say, only the people in the Campus A director, in the Campus A group can access Campus A. So you do have that kind of control where you could set that up. We could even go as far as if we said we wanted subgroups now within this, maybe I only want a specific training group in here, I could actually do the same thing as if I would be doing regular access here with anything else. I could come in, I'm on that development page here, or that development site here. We could come into a folder that we want to do. I can come in here, I could edit, access, and maybe for this here, the group that we want is maybe just the development for athletics for tailgating. And we can go ahead and set that. So that way, anybody part of that specific group will be able to go ahead and get in there. So that's how you can kind of control who is getting access to your different sites by creating groups there and then go ahead and applying those access groups to those sections there. Other things that we can go ahead and set up when it comes to setup here, we do have our users, we do have our sites within the account settings. We also have toolbars. So if you have specific toolbars that you want on specific sites, so maybe you've talked to the administrators and when your web administrators are looking at it, they say, you know what, I don't want our users to be able to go in and change the font or change the font color, add pictures, different things like that. You can go ahead and customize your toolbars and put a specific toolbar on an individual site to kind of manage that. We can do the same thing with the font size sets. So if you had a specific font size set that you wanted for the entire site, you could do that as well. Same thing for image size sets. Image size sets you can also set up at the site level. So it's a blanket level over the entire account, but then if you wanted to set it at a different site level, you can always do that. You also have tags here. And when it comes to tags, you can actually create groups of tags and assign those to specific sites and actually control what tags are being used within a site. So right now, we've got these generic tags here that we've already got created. But what I can do is I can come into my dev site here. I could actually go into any site because as the administrator, we can get to the same page from anywhere. But what I want to do is I want to create a new collection rather than just an individual tag. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and create a collection called animation here. So what we have here is we have 2D animation. I press enter to go ahead and lock that in there. We've got our 3D animation and we have some stop motion. And then we'll go ahead and press enter and that locks that in there. So now we have this collection here that we can assign out to a specific site. So I'm going to go ahead and save that here. It did add those items for me. We now have 2D animation here. We have 3D animation. We have animation as a collection. So we can see that that is a collection here. And then we also have our stop motion down here. So now if I wanted a site to be able to only use those three, I can actually control that at a site level. So I can come in here and maybe I want that just on our training site here. So I can come in here to training. Actually, where I want to go is back up to setup here. I want to go into my sites. I'm going to come down to training here. I'm going to use my more actions button and edit, and I have tag access here. So with the tag access, I could say allow only these tags. So in this case here, I could go in and select individual tags, or I can use that group that I have, that collection here for animation, and it lets me know I can see that I have 3 different additional tags here. So I'll go ahead and save this. For the given directory, let me use a different directory here that might work better. I'm going to put it in Galena here. Oops, I didn't need to change that. I do want to come here to Galena. I'll come in here and edit my tag access. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use our animation one, and we'll save that. So now we have our tag access has been saved here. So if I come in here and I go to something in Galena here, I come in and I go to my pages, and I'll just go into training here and my admin 1 sample page. If I come into my main content, and actually I didn't need to go there, but what I want to do is if I go into properties here and I search by tag, I did something wrong. I didn't apply it to everything. Let me go back here real quick. Excuse me while I do this. And I want to go back to Galena here. I do want to apply this not only to the root folder, but I want to apply this to all existing files and folders in the site. So this is the same as you're doing other things within there where you have your recursive modification. That's what this is doing up here in the top. So I do want it to be on everything. I do want it to be animation and allow only these tags within here. And we can see here for the site that we're using, we're doing this on Galena only. So I can go ahead and save this here. So now if I come back into my pages, and I've got this checked out, and I go to properties and I go to my tags here, it's limiting me to those specific tags. So if I try to create a new tag, it'll show up here, but after I save this, and I go back into properties there, it's going to just wipe it out. It's not allowing me to use any other tags because I said only use this collection of tags that I want. So we can go ahead and see that we do have the 3D, the 2D, and the stop motion here. So that's where a collection of tags, you can create a collection and specifically apply that to that specific site. So it's not necessarily on the entire account there. But if I wanted to use those as other ones, as on other sites, I can still use them. So if I come in here to the P-Warn Dev site, and I go into content and pages here, and go into training, and I'll use my admin one sample here. And I come in here and check it out, go to properties. I can still use those exact same tags in here as well. So I do have my 2D animation, my 3D animation, a general one called animation, and then we do have our stop motion. So I could use these in this site here, since I haven't done that limitation to say only use these specific tags on it. I do have the rest of the tags in here as well. So I could go ahead and select those as well. Let's see here. We talked about that. Other things that are you can break down at a site level that are currently on the account level is if we come back here to our setup, we also have our custom dictionary. So within the custom dictionary on the left, you have the account dictionary and we have a site dictionary. So there's two different levels there. If you were doing something for your campus, you've got multiple colleges, but you do have shared resources there when it comes to the names of the buildings that you want to have on both locations. Maybe the street names were named similarly. Some of the places on campus were named similarly if you wanted that, or you have specific heritage names that are part of the campus, and it's for the entire college, not only those specific locations. You can come in here and put things into an account level here. So in this case here, here's things that would be recognized by all the sites, all 4 sites that we have here. Currently, we're in the P-Warn Dev site. I can also go to that individual site dictionary. So if we come in here, we can see that we don't have any words added here yet, but we do have them at the account level. If I come in here and I change over to my Galena site, and I go to the site dictionary, we do have things in here. So these are things that have been added specifically to the site dictionary. When you're doing a publish and you get the page check, if you have the ability to add to custom dictionary, this is where it's going to go. It's not going to go to that account level dictionary. It's going to go to the site level dictionary. So that's where you can kind of manage that there. If you do have account information or items that need to go into that account level dictionary, you do need to be a level 10 user. And you can get in and make those changes there and add them at that account level, and that way they'll be recognized by all the sites there. If you do have something that is specifically for the site, as a level 10 administrator, you can always come in here and you can add to the site dictionary as well. And then for those that have the ability to add to the custom dictionary when they're doing a page check or going in and doing a publish, they do have that option. Those will actually go into the site dictionary for you. Other things that may be able to be changed, shared across sites are your templates. So if we come into Galena here and I go to content and my pages, we do plus new. Depending on how your site is set up, you may be able to go ahead and share these as well. Now, if your site isn't sharing them right now, what I would recommend is contact our support team and they can work with you. It really comes down, a big chunk of that comes down to how your servers are set up. Are all your sites on the same server or are they on separate servers altogether? If they're on separate servers, IT may need to get involved a little bit more to create some files in the background that will go ahead and shuttle the information back and forth between the servers so you can share your templates here. So it is something, if you have questions about it, if you do have a site right now and you realize, you know what, we want to go ahead and set something up and we have additional questions on it, something like that, feel free to call our support team too. They are awesome when it comes to just about anything within OU campus there. So when I'm talking templates, we do have these templates here. So this is a series of 3 items that we do have. So there's an image, a template control file, and the template itself. So that's where your templates can come in and be shared across that as well. When it comes to cloning a site, if I took Galena here and I realized, you know what, I do want a sub-site here built off of this, what I can do is I can go to my setup here, go to sites, and I actually have an option here. If I use my more actions and go to site, we do have clone site here. So really, it allows you to go ahead and create a new site that you can go in and make changes to. You can change the pages, you can change the look and feel on things, but it's not going to affect your main site, your actual live production site. So the process that you would want to do with this is, let's say I did want to go ahead and clone Galena here. First thing I would do is I want this to be separate from the clone site. I want 2 separate sites here. If I'm running Dependency Manager, which I really encourage most of our sites or most of our schools are using, what I would want to do is I'd want to do a Dependency Revert first. So what it's going to do, it's going to go ahead and take my site, turn off those dependency tags, and replace them with the actual URL where things are located. That way, when I clone the site, instead of those dependency tags rolling over, it's going to actually bring over the actual URL. So I would go ahead and do a dependency revert, and then I would come in here to site and I would click on clone. Now, when I go to clone a site, I do have an option here. I can go ahead and give it a unique site name, but then we do have an option right here at the top for include staging files. So what this is, do you want your site to start out completely empty, or do you want it to be a replication of what you currently have? So if I said I want everything that's in Galena to be in this new site, all my test files, all my directories, I would say include those staging files. So in this case here, by selecting that, it's going to bring over my entire complete copy, a replication of that site, and go ahead and create that with it. When it comes to the server, the username, password, this is where you may need to get your IT department involved. If you want it to be on a separate server, a specific username for it, and a password, you can go ahead and create those here. Also with your FTP route and HTTP route. If we were just adding a site here, and I'm going to call this Paul's. If we were just adding a site here and I say, you know what, I don't really need it to be its own separate domain, I just want to go ahead and create a site here that I can use, I would actually add Paul's to the end of our FTP route and Paul's to the end of our HTTP route. So it's going to leave it with the same domain, but then give me one more directory there for Paul's that will have everything in it. So at this point, I would go ahead and save this, and that will go ahead and begin the clone of the site. Now, depending on how big your existing site is, Galena is pretty small here, so it wouldn't take too much time, but maybe you've got thousands of pages out there. This could take a while for it to go ahead and do. But what it would do, it would go ahead and give you your new site. So in this case here, that's what I did with Training and Tuesday. Both these sites were just cloned. So there was no major change to it. It went ahead and created the site for me. So once that's done, there's a couple of additional steps that still need to be done. So what I did, I came in here, I went into Training here, and we go back to our setup sites here. And I select Training here. And one of the things I would do is I would go in to scan here. And at this point, I would do a dependency scan. So you remember that we turned off those dependency tags before we cloned it. At this point, now that the clone is done, I want to turn those dependency tags on. And it's going to create a new dependency tag for all the URLs that are put into this site of Training. So that will go through and create my dependency tags on here. Those will all be unique from the Galena one. So that's why I turned them off. I didn't want them to have the same dependency tags because they might be pointing to each other in the wrong direction there. So I turned them off. I did the clone. I went in here and I do the scan again. And then once that scan is done, again, depending on how large your site is, it may take quite a while. It may be a couple of minutes, it may be a half hour, maybe longer, depending on how big your site is. But then you would also come in and do a publish afterwards to go ahead and publish out your entire site. That will kind of lock everything in there. Now, one thing I noticed for my sites, and I don't know if this is for all the sites, once I was published, I was getting an error. So we went ahead and looked at it. What I also needed to do is I needed to come into my content, go to my root directory, and go into resources, and I needed to publish out my CSS and my XSL. Until I did those two, for some reason, it wasn't looking correct. So that might be something where you might have to do is come into your resources. You might need to republish those resources separately to get everything to work out through it. But it is a quick and easy way, and that's how we went ahead and created our Training and our Tuesday sites here. So they're basically just replicated images of our Galena site. They have everything in there that we had in Galena. A couple of other things that you can kind of control, or that you can control, is when it comes to certain things as your assets, your components, and your snippets. So these are on an account level. When you're creating them, certain things you'll see here, we come into assets. If we have, let me go ahead and go back over here to my Galena site here. When we come in here and I look at my types of items here, I can see that I do have some forms and I do have some image galleries. Image galleries and forms are not shared across sites. So they're only going to be in the site that you created it in. In fact, when you create one, if we come in here and go into our assets here and I do plus new, and act as if I'm going to do an image gallery, we can see right here in our top section for the asset info, it is locked to site, and that is the default. So it's letting us know for galleries and forms, they're not going to be shared between the sites. But any of your other things, so in this case here, maybe we want to do this flag of the month here, we can see here that it's not currently locked to the site. But if I check this out and go to more and go into properties, I can lock it to the site. So by default, because it's not a form and it's not a gallery, it is shared between my different sites. So we could go to different sites and use it. Or if I say, you know what, I created this for Campus A, I only want Campus A to be able to use it, we could go ahead and lock it to their site here. You can also do similar things when it comes to components and snippets. If we come into our snippets here, and I look at our generic snippets, maybe we have our accordion here, and I have it set up. When I go ahead and open it up here, we can see here within our snippet information available for all sites. By default, it says yes, but I could say no here, and then it's gonna let me take the option and say, what sites do I want this to be part of? So I could say, well, I still want it part of the Galena site, but maybe I want it part of the dev site as well, and not the training and not the Tuesday sites. So I could go ahead and select what sites do I want this to be able to be seen on, and then I would go ahead and save it. So now if I went to some of those other sites, the training site or the Tuesday site, it would not be showing the accordion one in there because I'm not sharing it with those sites. I'm only sharing it with Galena and only sharing it with the dev site. Similarly, you can do the same thing when it comes to your components. Within components here, if we go ahead and open up a component here and check it out and go into properties, we can see here we do have an option for available account wide. So this is saying, do you want this available for all the sites that you have within your account here? You can manage those within here as well. I can say no, limit to selected sites. And again, you can come in and select what sites do you want this to be seen on. So you can share between those specific sites, but not other sites. So again, you could say it just as one site only, or you can go ahead and have multiple sites, or you can go ahead and leave it to yes, it's available account wide for you there. So that is one of the nice things within your reusable content, as we refer to them. You can also control what sites that they're available to. So we'll go ahead and save this in here. With that, you may have XSL shared across sites as well. So if we do come in here, we go into our pages, and on our root directory and our resources, we do have our XSL folder. We have seen some sites that rather than having an XSL folder in the underscore resources here, you may have a separate site that the XSL is pulling from. So that way there, you'd actually have another site down here. It may be called resources, it may be called a specific site name. And when you go into it, you would have your XSL there. And that way, it's all in one location and it's shared between each of your sites here. So again, it's at a global level there, but you can go ahead and set that up. So it's only, you can have it at the top level there for your accounts, but then you can go into each of your sites there. It will go ahead and pull those XML forms or XSL documents in for you there. So with that, like I said, there is information on cloning within our training Tuesdays. There was one done specifically on cloning. If you have questions, go ahead and put those into the Q&A section and we'll be able to answer those, or we'll go in and look for the answer for you. And then I do want to go ahead and give a plug for our next Training Tuesday, which will be in September. It'll be on September 29th. And what we'll be doing, one of our other trainers, Billy, will be going over the topic of accessibility. So he's going to go ahead and be talking over that. Again, as always, if you're not part of the Omni Update Community Network, go ahead and sign up to that at ocn.omniupdate.com. And then we also have our support site available to you as well. Pretty much has everything OU Campus in there by going to support.omniupdate.com. With that, thank you very much for your time today, and I hope that you have a happy and safe rest of the day.